Welcome to my video, students. Today I'm going to walk you through the steps of creating a resume. So first, let's start by searching Windows for Word. Remember, when you start Word, you can start from a blank document, or you can choose to search for online templates. We're going to type resume to search for a template we can use. And templates just give us a more professional, consistent look. They're easy to update, and it can also give us a guide for what we need to include on our resume. So as a high school student, we want to select a fairly simple template that's easy to edit. And so a good one to use is the Modern Chronological Resume. So let's click on the Modern Chronological Resume and push Create. The first thing that we're going to do on our resume is to create the letterhead. The letterhead is a great way for a potential employer to find out contact information about us. So your name should really stand out, and you want to make sure that your contact information is correct. Because overall, the purpose of our resume is to be able to provide a summary of our skills, experience, and education. And we want to make sure that if our resume is really good, the potential employer will know how to get in contact with us. So for today, we are going to pretend that our name is Taylor Jones, and we're going to use Taylor Jones information to fill out our resume. However, when you work on your personal resume, of course, you want to use your actual information. So let's click where it says first name, and we're going to type Taylor. For last name, we're going to type Jones. Next, we're going to click in the address area. And for the address, we're going to type in 7230 Leetford Lane. This is in the city of Noville, Arkansas, 72830. Next, you'll click on the phone number option. For the phone number, we're going to type 479 555 5555. Next, we're going to click in the email section. For the email, of course, you want to use something that's professional. So a suggestion that I have is maybe use first name dot last name, or maybe the initial of your first name and then your last name. You just want to keep it professional. So it shouldn't be something like Gamerboy123 or Skater Girl 759. You want to make sure that it seems professional. So for this email, we're going to type in taylor.jones20@gmail.com. So notice that you have other options for additional information. So LinkedIn is almost like a social media page for business professionals. And so if you have a LinkedIn page when you get older, you can, of course, add in your profile here. It says Twitter blog or portfolio next. And so keep in mind that this is a professional document. You don't want to include your personal information as far as like your social media pages. If you have social media that relates directly to a career field or it's strictly professional, you could consider adding it here. However, if it's just your personal pages, you definitely don't want to add it on your resume. So for now, let's just erase these since we don't have them. So we're going to push the delete key. Okay, next, I want you to find the very first paragraph that starts with to replace this text. Typically, this is an area where people would put their objective. And in the past, the objective informed the employer about why they were submitting a resume. However, objectives have become outdated. One of the reasons being most objectives stated what the company could do for the potential employer as opposed to what the employer could do for the company. So you want to make sure when you create your resume and your cover letter, you always focus on what can you add to the company? How can you be a benefit of the company? Okay, so because objectives are outdated, we are going to select that first paragraph and just push delete. Next, we're going to locate the experience section. And this is where you type information about your work or organization experience. When working on your own resume, if you've had actual work experience, you can leave the title section as experience. However, if you only had club organization or volunteer experience, you may want to change the title to volunteer experience or community service experience. When you're organizing your experience, you want to start with the most recent experience to the least recent experience. Additionally, you want to provide details about your experience that relate to the job to which you are applying for. Keep in mind you want to catch the employer's eye, so be brief and precise with your phrases, and notice that when you type out your experience, bullet points are used. For each bullet, action verbs are used to show what tasks, responsibilities, and achievements you completed during the experience. So you want to make sure that you also use the correct tenses. So if you're still working there, you want to use present tense. If it was something in the past, of course, you want to use past tense. Okay, so let's type out our experience. So let's say that we started our job at McDonald's in May of 2019. And because we still work there, we're just going to type present. Our job title is a crew member, and we work for the company McDonald's. So when you're talking about your duties or responsibilities at a position, you want to make sure that you use bullet points and that you also show your action verbs that you use when completing tasks. So we're going to click on the bullet point option. And so we need to think about what type of tasks do we do on a daily basis to show this particular employer that we were good workers. So some things you might include might be operate cash register or serve and greet customers at the window and front counter. You prepare customer orders and then train new crew members at various stations. So this just kind of gives a quick overview of the things that you accomplish at your job. And so this shows that you know how to use cash registers. It shows that you have good customer service skills. It shows that you're organized, you know how to prepare orders. It also shows that you are able to work with other employees as well. And so when you think about the jobs that you have or have had, you think that you want to include information that shows what type of employee you were. So the next type of experience that you have is from an organization at school. And so let's say that you became the vice president of FBLA in October of 2018. And then you entered that position in May 2019 at the end of the school year. So hopefully you'll be reelected for a new title. But for now, we're going to type in vice president. And instead of company, we're going to include the name of the organization, Future Business Leaders of America Organization. Once again, this is where you'll type out your responsibilities. So we're going to do a bullet list again. And so for this position, you organized and led monthly meetings, prepared study packets for competitions, and you constructed a plan for the annual food and toy drive. So in this section, it basically shows what type of things that you did to be involved in your organization. So whenever you join organizations or clubs, you want to show that you are active in that organization. And of course, you actually want to be active in it. And so, of course, use those brief phrases and the action verbs to show what you did to be a part of that organization or club. So for experience, if you've had a job, you want to, of course, include your past actual working experience. If you haven't quite had a job yet, talk about that volunteer service, community service, things that you've done to help out in your community to show that you are willing to work. Okay, next let's move to the education section. Alright, so the education section basically shows the schools that you have attended, your GPA, honors and awards that you've also received at school. So at this time, we're going to type out our high school education. So we are going to be graduating in May of 2020. We are going to have a high school diploma, and we attended Noville High School. The next thing that you can include is your GPA, and typically it's recommended that if you've have a GPA over 3.0 that you should include it. If it's below 3.0, they say that you should not include it. So we're going to type 3.25 GPA. I also suggest that we type out awards that we received, or you could even type out like if you are a business completer or certificates that you've earned as well. So we're going to add in a bulleted list again. For this example, we're going to say that we are a Arkansas Scholar. We also have received the Attitudes Creates Excellent Awards. And then next, we're also going to include that we are part of the National Honor Society. So at this time, we do not need an additional placeholder for another school. So we can select this and we can push delete. Finally, we're going to locate the skills section. For the skills section, this is where you list relevant skills and strengths as they apply to the job that you're wanting to get. And keep in mind, they should be hard skills. Hard skills are part of a skill set that are required for a job. So something that you might include are things that are listed on the actual job opening, that the skills that you actually have. So some examples might include like computer programming, word processing, presentations, accounting, automotive work, things along those lines. So these are things that you can actually prove. So you wouldn't include things like, oh, I'm a good listener, I'm very friendly, I'm very helpful. Those are things that you could probably talk about more in the cover letter or even during your job interview. So here are some examples of skills that we're going to type. We are skilled in Microsoft Word, so we know word processing, and Microsoft PowerPoint. Let's say that I'm also bilingual, so I speak Spanish and English. You can come over here and let's say that I'm really good at mathematics, so I'm really good at problem solving in math. And then also computer problem solving. So if there's an issue with the computers, if there's an issue with the internet, I'm really good at figuring out what is going on and solving that problem. That would be a good trait to have. So if you have any other extra bullet points, you can simply delete those. Notice there is also an activity section, and like it says below, this is where you highlight your passions, activities, how you like to give back, other leadership and volunteer experiences. So if you have a lot of work experience and then you also have a lot of activities or volunteer work that you do, this would be a good place for it. However, I know a lot of students, they've only had organization experience, so maybe you just want to say that information for your experience section. So at this time, we are going to remove the activity section. And I just want you to take a look at that completed resume. And so we talked about the different sections as far as experience, our education, and our skills that we can have. If you notice that you have extra gaps in between those sections, you can right click on the empty spot, place your insertion point there, and then we can push delete rows just to move up that section, and same with above here. So whenever you create a resume, of course, you want to make sure that your contact information stands out. You want to make sure that you proofread over it. Make sure we check to see if there are any spelling errors. Always have somebody else check over your resume, a professional check over your resume, and make sure that you are being precise with your information, because people are only going to look at resumes for a few seconds and they want to see something that's going to really capture their eye. So you want to have that great experience. You want to be able to explain the experience you have, the education, and also the skills that match up for whatever that potential employer is looking for. So now you are going to take your knowledge about creating resumes and create your own. So hopefully you have some really good experience and skills that you can add to your resume. Don't forget to save this file as practice resume to your word processing folder. Have a great day.